One of the questions that people often ask is, do training courses really work? Now, a great deal of learning and development still happens through the medium of in-house training courses. People come on workshops, they learn together in groups from a trained facilitator. And that's a very well-established way of people learning new skills. But often people have challenged that and said, does it really work? Does the learning really stick? Do people actually go away and do something different? And I think that's a great question to ask. One of the things that I think is important in this area is looking at the style of the training and whether or not it matches the learning style of the people who are involved in the training programs. Now, we specialise in working in technical environments. And what you find in these environments is that you have a high predominance of people with introverted personality types. And sometimes for people with that kind of personality, the traditional type of training programme can be quite comfortable or it can be very difficult. And it all depends on the style of the trainer. If you go back to very traditional styles of training, which were the sort of chalk and talk type, where mostly it was kind of like a lecture. The person who was running the show would stand at the front and talk, and the people attending would write notes. Well, I think that probably has been improved on quite a lot over the decades. And where we are now is that a lot of training programmes involve a lot of interactive work. And some people enjoy that, and some people only enjoy some of it. People who have a highly introverted personality style usually don't like role-playing. And I'll tell you why. It's not because they're shy. It's not because they can't communicate. It's because people with an introverted personality style do not value activity for its own sake. They need a really good reason to do whatever it is they're going to do. So if the instructions are crystal clear and the benefits are apparent, then a person with that personality style will probably, perhaps a little reluctantly, engage in doing some role-playing. But it's certainly not their favourite way to learn. They usually prefer to sit back and watch other people do it, or to practice the skills in a way that's more meaningful to them. So what we found over the years, working mostly with technical specialists, is that if we set up our training programs so that they give people adequate chance to discuss real situations, to think about how to apply some of the theories and models to their own current issues, and we stay away from too much role-playing and definitely stay away from the hype and the high-energy activities that some trainers really love, then we find that we get a much better response from people who have that quieter style of learning. Now, the other thing that's important here is that if you have a room full of highly intelligent technical specialists, you really do need to have trainers who are completely credible. So we make sure that our material is properly researched, that if someone wants the theory behind it, if somebody wants to go and look at the original research or read upon the theories and so on, we have that information available for them. Because what we realise is that everybody learns in different ways. And for most people who have this kind of introverted personality style, they're often very interested in the detail. So there's a rule of thumb that says extroverts go for breadth and introverts go for depth. So for someone with an extroverted personality, they might want to do a little bit of lots of things. People with an introverted personality style, once they've decided they want to learn something, they'll often get into the detail. So we're geared up to help people do that, not necessarily during the actual process of a workshop, but if someone wants to read around the subject afterwards, we can recommend books, we can provide other resources and so on. So the important thing here, I think, is that your in-house training programs, any training program in fact, will only work if it's set up for the people who are attending it. There isn't a one-size-fits-all here. And other things that are really important are the way that people prepare for the program and what they do afterwards. So it doesn't all happen in the duration of a workshop. There are certain things that you need to do beforehand so that when people arrive at the training programme, their mind is clear and they're ready to learn and they're curious about what they're going to learn, and they also have a good reason for being there. And then afterwards, there are things you need to do to make sure that the learning's implemented. So I always refer to this, the old sort of hit and run type of training where you go to a training programme and then you go away and life goes on as normal. That doesn't work. That doesn't generate specific behaviour change. But with what we know now about how people's minds work and about how the learning process functions, we can set up training programmes that mean that at the end of the day, or the end of the week or the end of the month, you'll have people doing things differently from the way they were before they went on the training. And that, I believe, is the goal.